our icebreaker buddy, Jason.
He's got one.
That's his name.
I've got
He's
one.
got one. So let's see what the icebreaker is. Bring it in, Jason.
Okay, so we're talking music today. So here's the icebreaker. Yep. If you were to learn an instrument, it can be an instrument you already know.
Ooh.
What would you want to learn and why?
That's the didgeridoo. The didgeridoo, because it's got a cool name.
It's got a cool name.
That's it.
That's right.
Yeah, didgeridoos. That's awesome.
Drums all day long.
Drums.
Because I have no rhythm at all. And the things that drums brings to the table in any given situation.
Do you feel like learning drums would give you rhythm?
Yeah, it would just prove that it had it. I mean, like if there's a ability to learn rhythm and that could actually be birthed in me and actually come forth, then yeah. But I've tried, to no avail. Like I'm the guy that fails at a rock band all the time. I'm like, I can't, my feet and the hands. Sorry.
Man, the first one that came to my mind was probably like a violin, but more specifically like fiddle.
Okay, yeah.
I grew up loving bluegrass and folk music and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that plus a banjo is like you can't really have bluegrass without it. So, but the fiddle is just such a cool instrument. So I'd love to learn how to do that.
I mean, if you're going to play in Texas,
you got to have a fiddle in the band. That's true.
Yeah.
I would go harmonica.
All right.
Just because I could carry it around and play anywhere. Like you're not going to pull a guitar like out of your pocket, right? Like,
I don't know. They have them now.
They do. They do have the little mini ones, but
pocket guitars.
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought that'd be cool.
And then you could always go to prison. And you
you can do some prison blues and
prison jams.
Yeah, you just be in line like
anywhere you go.
Have you seen the poor man's bagpipe? The guy who does that. Yeah, so he's I guess famous for a harmonica player, if you could say it that way. But he always would bring a balloon and he would blow it up as big as he possibly could. And then on the far low end of the harmonica, he would put that piece of balloon on there and hold it with his fingers and let out just a little bit of air. And it would keep that tone going, like that,
That's awesome.
sound. And then he would play the rest of the harmonica with his mouth. And it was the coolest thing.
I must look this up.
It sounded like a mini bagpipe. It was amazing.
Like, yeah, I'm good with that.
That's crazy. Well, on that note, welcome to the podcast.
What's that camera?
All right, let's stop for a second.
Welcome to the podcast.
There you go.
Today's episode has everything to do with music. And, music is the soundtrack of life. What is so funny about that? Every time I say that, people are like, but seriously, isn't it though?
The sound of music is what comes to my brain every time you say it.
Okay. Maybe it's derailed by, okay. But music has shaped our lives, right? In so many various ways. So it established our love for movies, bands. It's created bonds and even rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
So let's discuss this. Music.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So to ask what's your favorite song, I feel like that would take us all day to finally hone in on what that is. So let's go with, do you have some favorite songs? Like those are the go-to ones that the tried and trues, the ones that when they come on your playlist or they come on the radio, they're going to get the full listen, your full attention, or depending on the mood, you're going to seek them out. What are some of those songs for you?
I'm just going to give you a full album.
Okay.
And that is Poor Old Lou Sen.
Okay.
I could listen to the whole album over and over. It's a great album. It was a life-changing album for me. But.
And that brings up a good point. Like when you say, Lee, when you say whole album, because how many all of us I think have a band that we really love, but few of those bands actually have a whole album that we'd be like from point A from one song to the next. Yeah. I'm gonna let it play all the way through. Usually it's like a few songs here or there on this album. This album had 3 songs I like. This one had 1. This one had 7. But
Yeah.
Well, nowadays it's not even albums, like a single.
Right. That's true.
They don't even release albums anymore.
Yeah. The first song that came to my mind was by the Foo Fighters. I can't remember. It's My Hero or Hero.
Hero.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song, man. Every time it comes on, the little breakdown with the toms. It's a great song. It gets me pumped up all the time.
So good.
and of course Everlong. I think everybody really loves that song
Yes.
too. But yeah, Foo Fighters was one of the first things that came to my mind, which is funny because there's so many others, but I'm sticking to it.
Right.
All right. I'm going to go favorite songs. I'll throw a couple out there.
Yeah, do it.
since, you know, we got albums and stuff. So Ed Sheeran, I like story songs, like songs that tell a story.
Right.
So Ed Sheeran, A-Team, Passenger, Let Her Go. I put Tool.
Okay. Yeah.
Sober.
Nice. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Like that's one that I'll listen to if it's on. I'll go the whole thing. And then like right now, like on the radio, what's my top favorite song? I would say One Republic, Sunshine. I don't know. It's just a fun song.
Okay.
You know, maybe it'll be different tomorrow. And then I'm going to throw one in there that's kind of weird. It's a country. Culture Wall.
Oh, yeah.
The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie. If you haven't heard it, the dude's voice is amazing.
Super
He's
low.
like 22 years old.
Wait,
but
who
he
is this
sounds-
again?
Culture Wall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
He sounds like Johnny Cash at the end, like when his voice is just deep and
Yeah.
like, he's like, "Ugh." Yeah, like
Nice.
and it's storytelling. Like
Okay.
his style of music is storytelling, and like I said, that's the kind of stuff I love. I can put other stuff and listen to, but that's always going to make my favorites.
Right. That's fair. I put 4 down as well. Like I think everybody could have a list that would go a mile long, but
Yeah.
you threw out Foo Fighters, so
Yep.
All My Life by Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah.
Anytime that one comes on, I like it so much. The Messenger by POD, man, yes. When you're talking about like, this is my cry, and I'll shout it to my death. Like basically, when you're following Jesus, and you're like, till I die, till I die. So that's one of those songs. And then to swing a completely different direction, Sabotage by Beastie Boys and My Way by Limp Bizkit. Sabotage came out, I guess, 94 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was one of the first CDs that was burned for me and given to me
Nice.
as a kid. Was the
Sabotage.
just all the
Beastie Boys.
hits.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, and Girls was on there too at the end.
Yeah.
So they got me with the one I didn't expect.
yeah, it's the hidden song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gone away. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he does the hidden song anymore. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Limp
dude,
Bizkit, man.
You were mentioning
Love the
one
hidden song.
POD, right?
Yeah.
So we did one recently for our church, and I've loved this song forever, and it's been one of my favorites ever since I heard it the first time. And it's called "Scandal of Grace."
Yeah.
And man, first time I heard it, the funny thing is the guy that sings it actually has a pretty high voice, so I actually thought it was a girl that sang it the first time. But then, after I found out that it was this guy that had just gotten on Hillsong, and that he's like coming out like he's the new dude or whatever.
Yeah.
He starts putting out more and more songs, and pretty much everything he sings I really like. But the song "Scandal of Grace," like the whole story arc of that song about grace is Jesus, like the embodiment of love and grace,
Yeah.
and just what his sacrifice
Getting
meant for
what we
us.
don't deserve.
Oh, it's so awesome. So it's a really kind of heartfelt song. And I've always loved that one. So
Nice.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff would be mine
Ooh.
if you go Limp Bizkit. Yeah,
How about Blur song too?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's the song that was a parody that became a hit. It was to make fun of Americans. Yeah,
wow,
a good one.
That
but
seems
it's a great song.
That seems to
Yeah.
be a very American thing to do.
It is.
Take what
Like,
was
you
meant
wanna make fun of us,
make
we're
fun of
gonna-
us, and
we're
we're
gonna
gonna be
take
like, that's going to be number one of our charts, guys. You're
Not
not
only,
gonna-
true.
not
you
only
can't
please,
make fun
but
of
thank
us.
you.
Yeah.
You can't make fun of us more than
That's
we
right.
make fun of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's-
We want
We're
to
into it.
appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you so much.
did anybody listen to Blindside?
Oh
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blindside's amazing.
Yeah.
So you remember that? I can't even say the name of the song because it's like Celtic, but
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Shekinah?
Yeah,
I
Shekinah.
don't. Is it that?
Shekinah
Yeah.
glory.
Yeah, it's Swedish. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that song.
That's amazing. It's
That's
beautiful.
absolutely amazing. Actually, I liked Blindside before, but when I heard that song, I was like, okay, now I love them. They're
Yeah.
just
Top. Yep.
phenomenal.
Sleepwalking
Blindside.
was my favorite.
Oh, Blindside. Yeah,
Yeah.
that album. That's another
Yeah.
album that I could just listen to over and over again. Did you listen to their new song that came out, Grave Robber?
No, I didn't
Yes.
even know they had a new album.
It was
Yeah.
like 2020. It was during the COVID.
It was during COVID. Yeah.
why.
It was good. It
Oh, it was good.
was good.
Yeah.
Wow.
This actually brings us to the next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Like how do you discover music, right? In this age of streaming services, how has that changed the way that you discover music? Like talk
Yeah.
about something coming out during COVID. Like how do you
Yeah.
even know?
Yeah,
true.
that's a great question. Back in the day, for me, it was going to the Christian music store, the Sunshine Music Store, or Family Christian, any of the Christian bookstores, and going in there and sitting down, and because they had the listening station,
Yeah.
and you could sample all the albums and figure out what you wanted to buy. And then also they had Christian music magazines back then. I know that's crazy, but the Seven Ball magazine,
Yeah.
Oh gosh, there of course there was the CCM, but it was awful. But anyway, sorry if that offends anyone. But Seven Ball was amazing.
Never read magazines, so
I found so many bands through that.
Yeah.
And then now it's of course the internet, and Jesus Freak Hideout is still around. So if anybody's looking for good Christian music, JesusFreakHideout.com.
Yeah.
They've got free samplers.
I'm
And
learning new things every day.
honestly, I found a lot recently I found a lot of bands through the Jesus Freak music samplers. And so good stuff. Anyway.
Man, these days.
See that you brought up COVID, like, and the idea of that, like, music. It's so weird because COVID was the time that technology was kind of like really needed. Everybody was using it,
Right.
but I found like I was too busy to do anything like new. Like I either had to fix things around the house that were just breaking from being home all the time,
Right.
or I was busy doing stuff for the church, right? Like I had more video editing and social media stuff
true.
and website
Because that's how
keep
people
up.
were connecting.
Man, like, and at the time I was the only one doing any of that.
Right,
So
right.
I had like 5 jobs that just turned into full time immediately. And so I didn't have any time to discover anything. So it's literally been within the last year that I've started hearing new music, because I've been stuck with the same thing on my iPhone since high school, listening to the same stuff, and then finally I start listening to Spotify more, and like random things will come on. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool, and then I got friends around me that'll just send me stuff,
Right.
which is great. But like I find that in the last 10 years, my ability to find new music has
gone
not
up.
been great.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that I'm always on the hunt for something new. Always I have a tendency to wear things out. So like when I find a new song or a new album, I'll be like, oh, that's really good. Like, and you're thinking in the moment, this is so good, I could just keep on listening to it forever. But it only takes a few days before you're, it's that diminishing marginal utility. It's like suddenly we're bored of this. What's next? So I'm constantly looking, and I guess whenever I find an artist, like, thumbing through Instagram reels, there's some songs that'll pop up. I'm like, I've never heard that before. And whether that's a worship song or just a full metal song or whatever, or some techno house beat, you're like, what is this? And so, you're easily able to click on it and see what the original artist is. And then I hit, a streaming service and start, hitting the samples to see what do I like, what is it that piques my interest, and so I think that's how I do a lot of my fishing, and then like I love the apps like Shazam and SoundHounds, or I can't tell you how many times there's been a song on a movie where I'm like, that song is amazing, but it's not on the soundtrack and it's not credited anywhere. So, but then Shazam pops up or whatever, and as soon as that spot hits in that movie, I'm able to go, what is this? And it'll tell me that. I've found several songs, through, whether I'm walking through the store or whatever it is, or you're in a car with a friend and they have similar tastes, but they're onto something that you've never heard of. And so that's playing. And then you're like, ooh, I'm gonna snag this real quick and then go explore it later on.
I was thinking about you, of course, Friends.
Sorry.
Is a great way.
Yeah,
no,
Friends.
For Today.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I had never heard of
Yes.
For Today until Eric's like, dude, you got to check this band out. And I was like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, it's one of those bands that like you find out, but
So you
then
never
they
heard of
just stop being a band.
Oh, that
It's like these guys are awesome. Wait, they're no longer together. Oh,
Yeah, I know, right?
I missed it. Yeah. Like I think I think the way I find music, similar to you, like Shazam. Like I'll just be out somewhere. That's how I found a guy named Joseph Prince. He does acoustic covers of songs.
Oh, nice.
Great, just like background music, but like great voice, nice, setup that he does. But a lot of times what I'll do, especially with my job, is I'll have playlists for the month. Like I'm talking on whatever or speaking on whatever topic.
Yeah.
And I'll put a playlist of songs that just play in the background or
Okay.
whatever. And then I will let that roll. And then it'll give me some suggestions that kind of fit in. Spotify is actually pretty good about like getting some pretty close like sound. Like if you like a particular sound, it'll get you. So then I'll just let it roll for a little bit, check them. If I like them, I'll add them to a playlist to listen to later. And then when I'm cutting the grass, I'll just let it roll and then, you know, like hit them if I like that. I think some ways it's actually harder to find some music today because, you know, back in the day, like there was so many radio stations you can go listen to and like people were getting on the radio and like, oh, I like that one. But now, like, I don't know, I feel like radio, it's the same like 20 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And they all sound the same for the most part.
Yeah, true.
So it's kind of hard to find them that way. So yeah,
and then,
most of mine is like
online is oversaturated, so it's even harder. It's like you get overwhelmed. You can't just like search for something that sounds like this. It is a little difficult.
So I kind of trust in the AI right now, right? Like I let Spotify suggest them. I'll check them out. If I like them, I'll keep going in.
Yeah.
And if
Where's
not,
the algorithm going to spit at you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's how I found most of the like Christian rappers and stuff that I like to listen to now.
Yeah.
Like it was for the longest time, Christian rap was not really good quality. Like it was very cheesy and didn't have the
talking about.
Yeah. So I avoided it. But then recently, because of Spotify, they're able to find all these guys that are not mainstream or big name. And it's just these kids that are like 17 to 25 years old doing their own stuff in their homes and putting it out there, you know, and it's phenomenal. It's great. It's they've got trap and different like EDM mix stuff with it. And
there's so much good stuff right now.
It blows my mind. Like Zonti, I'll give him a shout out. That kid grinded as a young kid, and now he's in the billboards now. Like he's recognized and he's coming out with great stuff. So and that's all because of, like you said, Spotify. Like without that algorithm telling me, hey, because you happen to listen to Lecrae at this point, look, this is all this other stuff that's available, and
or
phenomenal.
NF or Social Club or Andy Mineo or you know, there's so much. Man, we could, let's do a whole podcast about Christian art and how its metamorphosis over the last several years has been.
No kidding.
If you want
to see that, if that's an interesting topic for you in the podcast, just drop us a comment below. Let us know because we'd definitely be interested in doing that. So where are we headed next?
Well, I think when it comes to music and it like, man, I think we'd be lost without it. Maybe it's just me, but it's such a pivotal part of everything we do. Everything from, you know, mowing the yard, like we talked, like I sent you that message. You know, we had that huge conversation about music, and then I go out there and mow, and then like almost every like, genre or artist that we talked about was hitting in while I was mowing. But I also think about movies, like music done right is almost a whole nother character in the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think about like what Hans Zimmer is pulled off in a lot of movies. So you have people like John Williams who through music has created such iconic soundtracks for all the movies we love. You know what I mean? Like, and again, you'd only have to hear a few bars and you're right there. Like the first time you heard it, you know, like when you're sitting in the audience and the Star Wars credit rolls and it's those trumpets hit real loud and you're like, oh my gosh, you're there.
Jurassic Park, which made you feel like you're in the moment of seeing dinosaurs for the first time.
Right. Yeah. Well, like you said, music is a character, right? Like,
true.
If I don't know if you've watched the YouTube channel where they go in and they cut the music and then they add the sound effects back. Like it completely changes the scene, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes it weird. It doesn't feel right. Like we've gotten so used to having music like tell us. And I think music is the language of emotion. Like there's something about that, right?
Yeah, like
and I think we're made that way. Like we are made where music touches our emotion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you get to worship music. Like that's the whole heart of it, right? Like what was music created for? It was for us to worship. Like it's this thing with God. And it's such a powerful thing that, like, you know, it connects with us. I can be transported back. I can hear a song when I was a junior high boy at a skating rink, and I can hear that song and I can feel like that junior high boy at the skating rink.
Yes.
Right. Like, and I remember the smells. I remember all of it. And it's just off that one song. It'll come on the radio and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember.
Yeah, for real.
It's like, this is a terrible time for me right now.
Yeah, right. But I want to go back to I want to go back to real quick what you said about worship music, and I think worship music has been such a crucial element in my life as well, because like I think about like it changed my prayer life. I can't tell you how many times where I was just struggling to know what to say to God. Like I know God already knows my heart and my thoughts before I even can think about it myself, but like I'd still like to articulate some things to get them out to him,
Yeah.
And how many times have I been in a worship service and then a song that I've never heard before or haven't heard in a long time comes on? It's like those words right there. Yes, those are the words that I've been looking for. And so I'm able to like use that moment and cry out to God with every fiber of my being. So worship music has changed. It's connected like my prayer life. It's changed my prayer life. It's grown my intimacy. Like there's so many songs out there that just connect, I guess, my human relationship to a spiritual God, to God. Maybe I'm saying that wrong, but
no, it's like you made a mixtape for God, right?
Yeah,
like here's my heart, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, you were kind of talking like this whole idea of music, and we connect with it, and so because of that, we have put that in culture, right? Like it's in our movies. It's in like you can be in a restaurant and you're hearing music. Like we've connected it, right?
Yeah.
So how then is music pushing culture?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Pushing, shaping, all of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I think of all the things that I see on like different apps, movies, the TV shows we watch, commercials. I don't know if you recognize, but like there's a season where like commercials will use like the same 5 songs.
Mm-hmm.
They'll like either pay to get it or whatever, but that's like the influential song of the time. Like that's everybody loves. So we're going to put it in our commercials so that they hear it and they watch what's on the TV. I see it shape young kids, what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're your thoughts. We were just talking about worship music. There's other types of music. Like music's powerful enough to change your thoughts and your behavior on what you think about yourself. And so therefore I don't know exactly what that represents, but it's going to affect culture in some way.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I think you've got does art reflect life or does art influence life? And I think that's both.
Mm-hmm.
But you have, I mean, the Grammys. You had WAP played at the Grammys.
Yeah.
And that's like, what is going on with our culture?
Yeah, that's a negative influence for sure.
Negative influence.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then you also have things like Hillsong's Oceans being played and people going, oh yeah, I know that song, and being played on the radio and in mainstream culture. And it's just this weird mix going on in today's culture. I think more so than in the past. That mix is just so extreme.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's really weird when you talk to people and they're like, yeah, I really like, Cardi B or something. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then another, but they're like, but I really love Hillsong too. And it's like, that is so weird. Like,
it's
It's
mix.
opposite ends of the spectrum.
I
here.
totally get what you're
Collaborative.
saying, but I think about like our musical tastes are so eclectic anyways. Like we're all over the place when it comes to what we like and appreciate. And I think, that it is funny how the lines seem to be more blurred, like you're saying today than they ever have been. There's not like there are oldies for lack of better words, but I feel like even old songs are making a resurgence, and some of it has to do with what songs get chosen for advertisement, right?
Yeah.
And then I think about the song that was made popular, again in Stranger Things last season. Yeah. Not only repopularized and hit the top of the charts again, but like then people were doing remixes and putting their own.
Let's give
flavor
credit
on
where
it.
credit's due. What's the name of the song?
It's
Running Up That Hill.
Running Up
Running
That Hill.
Up That Hill. Yeah,
That's
that,
right. Kate Bush.
God, I got so big.
1985.
well, and it goes back to like, what is music and where did it come from?
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of all that? And to me, I look at it and I've always said music is a neutral. It triggers emotions. It makes you feel stuff. And I've always pointed to a couple of different songs, but you look at DC Talk, Jesus Freak.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It feels rebellious, but the lyrics direct where your feelings go, and so the lyrics help direct that. And so it's like, I don't really care what people think. I'm a Jesus freak.
Yeah.
And so it's rebellion against the world, which is like, oh, okay, well, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Right.
and we're talking about shaping culture,
Yeah.
and that song, it definitely shaped culture. I
Yeah.
mean, it was so
Oh, yeah.
different for its time. It was, and it still is relevant today. You play it today, scene, it still fits. Like it's
Sure.
that hard rock
Grunge.
Christian sound.
True grunge.
It's funny.
True
You guys
grunge.
are talking about the song. I'm like, I don't know that I've ever actually heard the full song.
Yeah.
It was like really before my time.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
And not before. Like I'm older
Before
than
you
that
became
song.
a
Before
Christian.
really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah.
Why would you listen
Yeah,
to that?
like, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to go check it out. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, and on the whole Christian, like how it shaped culture, but I can tell you how music shaped me. Like when I was in high school, I loved Carmen.
Yeah.
And I'm on a bus going to a drama tournament, and the guy next to me, he's listening to Rage Against the Machine,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and I'm listening to Carmen.
Okay.
Satan bite the dust.
Yeah.
And so I play it for him. I'm like, hey man, check this out. And he's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He goes, let me play you what I'm listening to. And I was just like,
Jesus in the house.
you know, there you go.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, and but as I discovered new music, it was still Christian music, but it was new music that I could play for people, and people would be like, "Oh, okay," like MXPX.
Yeah.
I loved it, MXPX.
So
It affected
thing-
the culture.
Like one place I see, maybe it's culture pushing music this way, but because of the rise of TikTok, 15-second videos,
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, yeah.
like for your song, really all you need is a 10 to 15-second
Yeah,
clip that, somebody could do a dance to.
Mhm.
That's going to be memorable,
Mhm.
and then your song can blow up, and the
Coming
rest
in
of your
hot.
song could be terrible.
Yeah.
That's true.
But as long as you've got that little blip in there,
Yeah.
and that you can get onto TikTok, it's all set, right?
It's-
Like Bloody Mary's out there right now.
Mm.
Like that's a big one.
Yeah.
Tick tick boom.
Yeah,
That was
like,
a big one. Everybody's
um,
using the intro of that song.
and
Tick,
then like you
tick,
listen to the rest of the
boom.
song, and you're like, I don't
Sail.
really care. Yeah,
Yeah. So, Run.
And
Sorry.
it's such an interesting thing that you
Run
got
was the other one.
yeah.
with TikTok. You got both. I mean, you have both things where you have all you need is that 10 or 15 seconds, and so you have some people that just create that
that
enough.
clip.
And I've been like, oh man, if that was a whole song, I want to hear it. And you
Yeah.
go looking for it, and it doesn't exist. And then you have
Yeah.
then you have those
Yeah.
sums that are like, oh, that's an interesting song, and you find out that it is a whole song, and you go listen to it, and you go, oh,
Yeah.
Run-
just go
that-
back to that 10 or 15
That's,
seconds
that's
and call it
literally,
good.
that's
Cuts
literally
both
what
ways.
happened to me with the song Run, because it's like dun dun
Run.
dun dun dun, run.
Run.
And then, and I heard that and I was like, this song sounds amazing. The rest of the songs, and it's all right, but that part of the song is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happens a lot, and it definitely does influence stuff, because then
does.
it makes people want to make videos too, and
Yeah.
they want to create their own music out of it and stuff. And then you got like
Gonna find something to put the Renegade to.
there's
Yeah.
almost like every decade there's a new not algorithm, but like a structure, right?
Yeah.
There's like a
Yeah.
template
Yeah.
that people use for their music, and I've noticed that right now it's that trap beat
Yeah.
that people will then take like new sounds and apply to that, and the alter the voice or whatever, and that's where it's really in right now. It's pretty cool.
So that brings me to the what artist do you secretly like?
Oh my gosh.
And I love Man of God, which nobody's ever heard in this
No.
room, I'm sure.
Never heard.
But he has created a new form of music called death trap, and he's taken trap and combined it with death metal.
Oh,
I think I
goodness.
have heard
that
elements
sounds
of
So
that.
good.
Yes.
It's so good.
Hey, speaking of that is a question that we all need
So
to
who's
answer.
go for it. Who's next?
All right.
Is-
Who's gonna
secretly
confess now?
like? Who's
Oh,
artists you secretly
I-
like?
Go for it.
Right off
Yeah.
the top of my head, I this one, my wife knows, some other friends. Nobody else knows, so you're about to find out. Don't make fun of me.
No longer a secret.
No.
Cannot promise anything.
Selena Gomez,
Oh,
hands
Take
down.
a sip.
I love. I know every word to the love song that she has. I love you like a love song.
Oh,
I seen
okay.
that one.
Yeah. I was like, man, what
Yeah.
Selena Gomez songs out there? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I also mentioned before that I really loved Coldplay. You guys know that,
Yeah.
and she just
Yeah.
recently partnered with Coldplay and did a song, and I loved it. So yeah, I'm
You
a
know,
fan.
I don't know her music very well, but she was in Only Murders in the Building, Hulu original thing.
Yeah.
And if you like a murder mystery, it works pretty well.
oh
But
Selena Gomez, yeah. I was gonna say I like her more as an actress.
Yeah.
but that's-
Yeah.
Oh, we're still talking about Selena Gomez. My
Yeah,
bad.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he's
It's like I was waiting for him to say an artist. I was
tuned
like,
out.
Yeah, no.
He tuned out. He's done. No.
Yeah. So there's a plug for, again, it's an adult murder mystery thing.
very
But
good.
yeah. So me, I went back and forth between two artists. I'm gonna say AJR.
Okay.
Haven't heard that one either.
You've probably heard their music.
Yeah.
Bang, Way Less Sad.
Weak.
It's used in like background things.
Mhm.
I don't know why so many people hate them. It's like a mix of piano, and they use like horns and drum, and I don't know. It's just fun music for like it's just happy music. Even their sad stuff is like happy music. Like it's just fun. And then I like I said, I went back and forth. I think Bieber is the other one. There's some Bieber songs that I actually am like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the new stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, there's my secret. That I enjoy.
Eric, I'm so excited. This guy is such a metalhead. Like everything heavy. This
What's
is what he
the
listens to.
secret?
So I'm praying that what he likes secretly has nothing to do with metal. Give me something good,
It's
man.
got a banjo in
Did
it.
we just run out of time?
he's gonna say like Frank Sinatra or
No,
something.
man. Frank Sinatra is awesome, but he's not one that I'm secretly like. I'll tell you straight up, Frank Sinatra.
Okay,
I
what's
like
up?
good
I like
music.
Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
I guess a secret like would probably be Harry Styles.
Yes.
Oh.
There's a few songs that I'm
Dude,
like,
his new album's amazing. Are you
How the
kidding?
mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
There's a few.
I'll
yeah.
admit.
There's a few of his songs I like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
But-
Everybody out there, give this boy some support.
Ah.
He needs it. Harry Styles is.
Now, if you'd have said
I'm going
One
back to my
Direction,
truck to listen
then I
to
would have been
metal.
like,
I'll be back.
Ooh, I don't know. Like,
One Direction.
but
BTS.
yeah,
No.
BTS.
Oh,
Little-
goodness.
little
No,
smooth
I'm
like
with
butter.
you. I'm with you, man.
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
No. Yeah,
I,
I gotta go cleanse my palate and go listen
I
to some
will
metal
say,
music.
because of what I do outside of this, I end up listening to a lot of music that I normally would not listen to because I try
That's
to
fair.
stay up on culture and
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, occasionally like I'll be listening to a song. I'm like, oh, I'm liking that. And then I'll look at the artist. I'm like,
Oh,
nope, I can't. I can't say
Nope.
that I would listen to that one.
yep. There's been a few times, and I know we're wrapping it up, but there's been a few times where I'm like, man, that song sounds really good, and then I'll bust out the Shazam or sound, whatever it is, the sound. That's awesome. Just mess it all up. We'll go with Shazam. I'll bust out the app that tells me the music, and then I'll find out who's singing it. I'm like, nope, I don't like that song anymore. I gotta go.
So
We can
that's
cut
crazy
that
how
out.
that does that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the
Sound
Fourth Thought podcast.
Sound
We hope
hound.
that we'll see you next time on next episode. We're excited to see you there again. Leave some comments below. Tell us what some of your favorite songs are. Who do you secretly like? We'd love to know. And then give some support to our boy Eric over here. We all found out he's got a secret love for Harry Styles.
No one said anything about love.
All right, we'll
it says
check you next time. See you on the Fourth Thought podcast.
Sound hound.
Yeah.